everybody. Welcome back. We're back with a special bonus episode. I'm Adam.
I'm Nicholas. Where have you ever, fellas?
And today we're going to do a bonus episode about something Bond adjacent, which is pretty obvious of something like, what's the other movies that are like James Bond out there? The Mission Impossible series, which I feel is a spectacle that is a fire under the Eon feet.
Mm-hmm. And very recently been a huge thing where we had to like change plot lines.
Yeah. And you know, when you think of Bond films, you think of the spectacle and the locations and the cast and the gadgets and all this stuff. The Mission Impossible series, once it retooled itself a little bit, is really kind of beating Bond at its own game, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. And most of it may be due to Tom Cruise's crazy person, but we love how crazy he is.
He never phones it in.
No. I think after the third film, especially once the fourth Mission Impossible took off, like spectacle was in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's we were talking in another episode about how in the Bond films, you used to have like one guy or one or two guys who'd alternate films. You'd have like just long-term directors. And now we sort of become like, oh, we're going to showcase this director. We're going to showcase this director, you know? But that's what Mission Impossible started as. It was like, hey, we're going to have a different director, a different style. Everyone's going to be totally different.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's going to be vehicles for some new stunts and some actor. Now it's become a long-term director, or at least a long-term like style.
Yeah.
And like complex, intelligent plot lines and crazy stunts. And you know, when you're having someone hang off a plane in real life as the opening scene, it's like, oh, well, they've just moved so on that it's like, okay, they're just going for it now.
Yeah. I kind of feel like, if the Roger Moore era had the budget and the know-how, it would kind of start doing that. Like, what's the craziest thing you can think of and just do that?
I mean, the end of Octopus is having a fight on a plane.
Yeah. It's not done for real, but Tom Cruise would do it for real.
and I feel like,
you know, they started, trying to be an anti-Bond, where you have different director every time. It's going to be a different style. There's not going to be a whole lot of continuity.
Yeah, but like villains are there. Like, okay, the first one was because the villain was like a character from the show. You had that. Second one, I can't remember Dougray Scott's character name in it. It was just like, okay, it was a virus and this guy's a bad guy.
I have something to say about Mission Impossible. Is one thing I love about it, and like one thing I can think of all the names of the characters, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
But like villains and stuff,
they got better as it went on. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman in Free is like one of all-time great performances.
Yeah. And
at some point, I want to talk about Solomon Lane in the last two because that's probably my favorite villain of the 21st century.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the
guy in 4 was just a dude. Kind of forgettable villain.
Yeah, and it's Michael Nivquist. How do you? Come on, guys.
There's a anecdote, like originally in Mission Impossible 4, they wanted to have Harrison Ford as the villain. And the story goes, like it got pretty late, like, Harrison Ford was interested. They're going to do it. But then Tom Cruise had an epiphany moment. He's like, I really don't think the world wants to see me and Harrison beat the shit out of each other. Which I'm like, you're kind of right. I kind of don't want to see that.
Yeah. I mean, I will say to this day, we were robbed just on the Tom Cruise versus another star note. Like, how was it not in 2001 or 2002? Jerry Bruckheimer presents Tom Cruise versus Will Smith. Would have sold all the money. But, but I mean, like, that's also one of the things that's kind of good about Mission Impossible is that it really lets, it's not just different directors. They try to get different sort of like, Bond films did this for a while too, but like, who's this new international actor we can cast? Who can we bring in here to make it a bit different?
Yeah.
And like, it's weird because, Tom Cruise is going to be done originally with the fourth one. He's going to hand off to Jeremy Renner. But at the same time, they're handing every franchise off to Jeremy Renner. And then Matt Damon didn't want to leave. And then Tom Cruise didn't want to leave. So sorry, Jeremy. But like, there's a shift around that time. Was it 2011? I want to say? Yeah. And it's a very weird thing because at the time, like I've been trying to think of like Mission Impossible's place in the spy fiction stories, right? Because we have Bond, everyone knows Bond. It's sort of like the baseline of what you bet against. We have the Bourne films, which really shook up the industry with a very different style, and then they ended.
Yeah.
They did a fifth one allegedly. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
But then there's Mission Impossible, which was just like, okay, well now we're just gonna go nuts and do our own thing, and we're gonna like somehow be
Yeah.
iconic.
And especially it's nice. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the 2011 bit, because I feel like that's when it became the ride. And I think the difference between like James Bond and Mission is the character Ethan Hunt I don't really care about.
No.
He's Tom Cruise. We see Tom Cruise. What is Tom Cruise does this, Tom Cruise does that. If I were to like pitch a movie, I don't think I'd ever see Tom like, then Tom Cruise does this, and then he gets his team, and then Tom Cruise climbs this, and then he falls off this. But we as Bond fans, it's like we want to see these actors we like do James Bond. Mm-hmm. What does this actor do with James Bond? Ethan Hunt just became kind of like this weird avatar of Tom Cruise. Like if Tom Cruise was a spy, he would be Ethan Hunt.
Like the defining characteristic, which you even say in Fallout, is basically he just really can't sit still and let people get hurt. So it's like
exactly,
he's just a really determined guy.
And you can see that through, I think after his whole like, you know, controversy and stuff, you know, he had to like retool his image as a movie star, and like his thing is he just leaned into it harder, and he was like, I don't know what to do personally, but he's just gonna work harder. He's just gonna make all of his movies as spectacular as they can be, which mad respect. I will say that every single Mission movie I think is still chasing the first one.
Go on.
I think the first Mission Impossible is one of the best spy movies of all time. I think, and one of my favorite movies. The movie just has a rhythm that like can't be topped.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this like as the series went on. I'm gonna make a weird comparison here. Mm-hmm. It's a lot like Fast and Furious.
Oh, 100%.
For me, in Fast and Furious, at a certain point, you get like the sixth or seventh film when they get really crazy, the same sort of like long-running franchise reinvents itself. And it's gotten to a point now where like everybody works for the same one guy, or used to work for that same one guy. Everyone has the same level of super abilities. And now, like, you know, I love Fallout, but it's all like, oh, everyone except these two people were all on the same side. And the first one, though, it's like, no, here's a lot, like, we're going to kill a bunch of stars in the beginning. You don't know who's going to make it. You don't know who's going to betray you. It was real stakes and real sense of, like, fallibility, which they lose a little bit later on because it's like, they do impossible stuff, not difficult stuff.
Right.
To paraphrase Anthony Hopkins, I want to say
yeah,
the line. But yeah, it's that first one has it. First one's so different than any other ones. I mean, say that first Fast and Furious was Point Break with cars versus
right
craziness.
And like Fast and Furious, yeah, it retooled itself as it went. But also, the audience doesn't like Fast and Furious, like Mission Impossible. I really feel like the majority of your audience doesn't give a shit what they're about. I couldn't tell you what half of the Mission Impossibles are about, like the plot. Yeah. All I can tell you when they went here and then they went here and they did this, then they went here and did this.
Yeah.
And I was satisfied.
It's like, what does Ethan Hunt / Tom Cruise do in this movie? Well, he climbs a rock, he climbs a cliff, he dies, he comes back.
Fight some dudes. Win.
Yeah, he climbs a tower.
Yeah.
He dies again in a swimming, and then he flies a helicopter.
So I really think you should see him. I highly recommend.
Yeah, and the supporting cast gets better each time because they start to like carry him over. Because it used to be it was a Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames vehicle.
I know.
Which
and he was supposed to die in the first one.
And he was supposed to die again. And no, he wasn't gonna die. They killed Jeremy Renner in Fallout because they couldn't think what else to do with him.
Oh, really?
And he was busy filming. He's filming Avengers, and so they were like, "Well, we can bring you back. We have to kill you because you don't have any space for your else movie."
I feel like. So now they're building towards like an end to the Mission series.
They're filming the two back to back, yeah.
And I feel like they should do like an all-star team, like different people from each movie make up the team. Like have Maggie Q back, have Paula Patton back, like Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Yeah.
Like, have like the greatest hits, like have their all-stars come back, or everybody that you can that's still around. Like, I think that would be cool.
Because it's funny because like, you know, we've talked about this before, like they try to get them back multiple times. The same way that like the Bond franchise was always trying to look for a spinoff of a Bond actress, you know, wanted to do a Wei Lin movie, wanted to do a Jinx movie. Now it's like, we're like, why not a Paloma movie? Because she's amazing. And, you know, in Mission Impossible, it's like, well, we want to get Maggie Q back for the fourth one. We couldn't. We want to get Paula Patton back for the fifth one. We couldn't. We tried to get them both back for the sixth. They were busy. It's because it's interesting for a series that was all about each one's pretty much a clean slate except for Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames. they've tried to get more and more continuity heavy, and they kind of have. I mean, it's while the Fallout isn't really its own movie, it's a quantum of solace to Rogue Nation's
It is
Casino
very,
Royale,
yeah, it is a sequel.
like a straight sequel.
Yeah.
Even with the info over the beginning, you're like, what? Who are these people? Who is? Yeah, and we might talk about how great Rebecca Ferguson is in these movies. Like,
Oh yeah.
like
I saw her, I was like, there's your Wonder Woman right there. And then they cast Gal Gadot, which is fine. But like when I saw Rebecca Ferguson, I was like, there's Wonder Woman.
yeah. She kicks all the ass better than Gal Gadot did.
Yeah.
That's a better actress.
Yeah.
I mean, she's also in Dune, so good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's wild that like these movies have like, you know, they just keep getting better and we get more and more invested in it. And it's just weird that like a series that had no continuity or was not really like, the first one was a hit because the business TV show, like, let's do a sequel. And everyone's like, that was weird.
What a weird movie.
And then it's like,
I enjoy it. I have like a soft, like sentimental spot for Mission Impossible 2, but like it's not very good.
No,
I did a rewatch
I
of all
like
of them
actually a
before
lot.
Fallout.
It's very like intense. I liked the MacGuffin aspect of like Philip Seymour Hoffman just pretty much killing it the entire movie.
Yeah, I didn't like that it was very much Alias. It looks like Alias, so. And like it's just J.J. Abrams kind of, I feel like, learning how to make a movie, like a big Hollywood movie, and then like as he's gone on, I like him less actually, but
oh, we got a lot to unpack there down the line, guys. Yeah, like, well, like, and even I'm not a huge Brad Bird fan, and like Ghost Protocol was okay, it was fine, but it was interesting to me because like that, like Ghost Protocol 4 is so just spectacle above all else. Like the villain is an afterthought. It's pretty much all bills of his like 40-minute set piece in at the Burj Khalifa and Sandstorm chase. It's just all spectacle. And then you get
didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. Like
it's a very hollow, thin film, but it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Like, you know, the last two, and they're like, the plot's so heavy. You know,
one thing that I think about when I with these Mission Impossible movies, talking about another buddy of mine, like it's kind of the draw to like a Jackie Chan movie. Like you go to see the crazy shit, and there's some story that has to connect the crazy shit. You can't just do crazy shit.
Or just get like a montage of like together doing stunts.
Yeah,
which is cool. Like, but
you know, Mission Impossible didn't lean completely into that. Like I feel like if people that weren't as smart took Ghost Protocol, was like, oh, people loved the spectacle thing, well, let's do that again and again, and I think they would water it down. But I feel like they've been very intelligent on how they've moved forward in the series,
especially because having Chris McCreary there. I mean, like, you know, you told me about the podcast, like the Fuse, that was about Mission Impossible, and there's this great interview of him which about how like one of the best sequences in Ghost Protocol was solve the whole thing. He was on set just one day. It's like, oh, here's how he fixed this.
Yeah.
And
I feel like, you know, they had the original concept, like have a different director each time, but like the differences between Rogue Nation and Fallout are huge. Like,
oh yeah,
they very different.
I want to do it differently. Like Rogue Nation is Hitchcock and Fallout is Ronin, the De Niro movie.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm very curious to see what they come up with for 7 and 8.
Yeah. If it's a cliffhanger, I'll be pissed. Like
it's gonna be
the worst trend in Hollywood. Well, there's a lot of bad trends, 3D stuff. But one of the things I really hated was in the 2000s the 2-part sequel.
Oh yeah,
The Matrix did it.
Well, I feel like Tom Cruise and his team are smart enough. Like this isn't going to be Mission 7 Part 1 and 2. Like it's going to be a 7 and an 8.
Okay,
that are going to be. I'm sure there's going to be a cliffhanger, but like, you know, it's like, for example, like the Avengers films, like that started with, it was Infinity War 1 and 2, but like Endgame is a very different movie.
Yeah.
Than Infinity War. Yeah. God, just stretching them out just to make money. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, every like young adult franchise that got stretched out, Harry Potter, Twilight.
Make that money, man.
Cash rules everything around me. But yeah, like, okay. So as the series has gone on, though, like it's interesting. It's added stuff that got better. Like Simon Pegg was a 2-scene character in 3, and he became like a main character. You know, and like Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Speaking of Miranda Frost, I rewatched Die Another Day recently. Rosamund Pike, forgive me. It's
Nick watches it every day. God, his favorite film.
Why would I do that to myself?
Because you love it. But like I said, Ilsa.
But yes, honestly, like it's funny because like I'm not saying I want to talk about how the Bond franchise has been influenced by Mission Impossible, but like we talk about like great characters like play off the hero, like have banter and like iconic in their own right. And like this character is that in a way that like Camille and Quantum of Solace. I mean, really wasn't really a main Bond goal in except for M in Skyfall. You know, Lea Seydoux got better at, you know, as it went on in No Time to Die, but like never really compared to Ilsa. And I mean, Lea Seydoux was also Mission Impossible, so like
Yeah.
so from that. But yeah, like the characters are good in the villains. I mean, Sean Harris as Solomon Lane is kind of who Blofeld should have been.
Oh yeah,
Blofeld. Like that's one of the best villains in the 21st century.
well, it's like I said, when we talk about Blofeld, it's himself. Like, why Mr. White would have been perfect as a guy working his way up, and like, because like with Solomon Lane, like they're building it up.
Just the idea of a guy who like, screw it, I'm going to like change the whole world myself, and is so meticulous and so thought out. It's so like, who's the one guy who's more thought out, more planned than Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt? Like this guy, and he is so cold and so prepared and just menacing in a way that like a lot of
I
villains
love that
aren't.
actor.
Yeah, like they, and I still love it. He hates sequels and just was like, just kill me off, please, just kill me off. I don't want to do a sequel. They don't kill him. Second time, just kill me. His character's suicidal the whole movie, and they still keep him alive.
Love it.
Chris McCreary is just screwing with him at this point.
Oh yeah. But one of the things that you mentioned, like that podcast,
like the Fuse,
which there's another Bond podcast that's kind of getting there, and I wish we don't have this kind of access, but the Light the Fuse podcast finds anyone and everyone that has ever worked on the films and have them talk about it. They'll have prop people, they'll have day playing actors, they'll have costume people, whatever. If you are an aspiring film production person, listen to every single episode, because you're getting a microcosm of every single department and every single type of work that happens on these major films, from director to the lowliest, grip.
Yeah, I mean, Adam works in film production. I'm a journalist in Los Angeles covering, and I've been a film critic, but like these are just treasure troves of just like, oh wow. And
just, yeah, even if you don't like the Mission Impossible movies, like it's still fascinating.
Yeah,
like hear what it's like to be on a high level film.
Yeah, and just again, like the Chris McCreary interview was talking about how I was like, oh yeah, when I worked on Ghost Protocol, we did this. And it was like, just because I was on set that one day, we reshaped the whole movie. Because it was like everyone was trying to be about one day because the schedules worked out. Like it's nuts. Like, because you hear about films stalling out here and there, like, what went wrong? I mean, Spectre, what went wrong with Spectre?
I mean, we know we had the Sony leak, but like I would love to, there's a podcast called Really 007, which is pretty good. So the UK based.
Okay.
But like they got Robert Davi recently. Like they got Stanley Kubrick's daughter, who worked on Spy Who Loved Me and a bunch of other stuff. But like little things like that, like those are the people that I want to hear from. And that's one thing that like this Light the Fuse show does.
Yeah, I would be here for every minor henchman to come talk about the movies. I mean, I'm sure Dave Bautista would talk about Spectre in a heartbeat. Dave Bautista seems like he'd be a fun interview.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Dave.
I'm a huge wrestling fan as well.
Yes. You were amazing in Blade Runner 2049. We love you,
yeah.
Dude. Oh, so good. But okay, I'm thinking of Spectre because it did come out, I guess, that one of the things they did was that they had to change the ending in part because Rogue Nation had already did it.
Rogue Nation and Spectre are the same movie.
Like 100%.
Like
it's just, instead of intelligence things, it's money. It's still like there's a not really a mole, but there's like a leak, there's like cooperation.
Well, it's the Syndicate, and then it's Spectre, and I joked that like the best spy movie of 2015 was Man from U.N.C.L.E. And you 100%. Had a mission and a Bond in the same year, and neither of those were the best.
One day we're gonna talk about Man from U.N.C.L.E. because that movie is perfect.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. is amazing.
It's the one Henry Cavill film I like, and I know I love Fallout, but I don't like Henry Cavill in it.
You don't like Henry Cavill in
Fallout?
You don't like him in what?
Like fine. Okay,
the cocking of his guns.
He's the villain in Fallout.
Yes.
And maybe it's because you also have, Solomon Lane right there. Sean Harris is back in even his best performance in Solomon Lane. Henry Cavill is so just like, I know it's supposed to be like this very like single-minded guy, but like it does not work. If it had like, well, I almost said his co-star from Man from Uncle, but Hammer's we're not gonna get, he's a mess. Not talking about that. But like, it's just, I don't know. I got him as like, I'm the tough brute guy who's gonna like be in your way or argue with you. I did not buy him as I'm the big bad.
Interesting.
But I can't even give it, the movie's so great. Like, I don't hate him. I just thought he was the weakest link in the movie.
There's an anecdote from Macquarie where like everyone was complaining to him about Henry Cavill. It's like the second he shows up, I know he's gonna be the bad guy because he has a bad guy mustache. And he's gonna be the bad guy. It's like, well, when did you know he was gonna be the bad guy? Well, when he's on the phone, he's got the thing. Like, yeah, when I told you he's
the bad guy. Yes. Okay. All that said though, the fight in the bathroom in Fallout is one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
And apparently that took like a month to shoot. And I'm like, well, time well spent. That's one of those things like that will be used as an example for decades.
Well, Tom Cruise do what, 60 Halo jumps to do that one shot? It was like in real time, but like,
what I love about Cruise is like he does all these spectacular stunts. He's still acting.
Yes.
He's still playing the character. There's still a conflict. Like he's in the run up to the Halo jump, Cavill pulls his like oxygen thing.
Oh yeah.
And there's a little like, oh shit. Yeah. And but then Cavill is knocked out and he's got to rescue. It's like there's still story happening. It's not just the stunt.
I mean, one of my favorite bits is in that bathroom fight in Fallout, when like Cavill is reloading the fist and then proceeds to get his ass really kicked. Mm-hmm. He's like the fake John Locke is like, just kicks him in the face and just drops the body. And you see Cruz like already beaten up. He's like, okay, let's stop.
Yeah.
And then he tackles the guy anyway, which is like, it's like, well, shit.
Right.
Which again, like that's the thing, like, but someone pointed out with Jeremy Renner's character in Ghost Protocol and afterwards, like he'll do all the crazy stuff, but he'll be the one to be like, this is insane, which you kind of need. But even Tom Cruise now is like, I'll do this as crazy as it is. I mean, like that shot of him running the rooftops and Fallout, he broke his ankle and we kept the take. Like,
yeah,
I wins because I saw the actual footage of when his ankle broke, but like,
yeah,
amazing.
No one says he doesn't show up. And I'm just curious, like I've heard, online they tell you, or even like the filmmakers say like, oh yeah, in the next mission he's gonna ride a motorcycle off a cliff.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
And I'm like, okay, I know it's gonna be a lot more than that.
A long sea jump.
Great. I'm sure there's gonna be some sort of thing where there's some accident when he's shot or something. He has to deal with that while doing the stunt. Like,
yes. Oh, if this was a Bond film, when he goes off the thing, he'll have a Union Jack parachute.
Right. That's that's one thing that like maybe Bond can steal from is like,
yeah, like what? Okay, because I'm trying to think like
a little more story in the stunts.
Yeah, comparatives. Okay, well, if the thing about Mission Impossible is they get more and more so like convoluted in the sense of just like, again, spoilers again, but like in Fallout, the White Widow who you have to contact to get to Solomon Lane, but she's also working for the CIA, so it's all on the same side, this and that. Whereas like in Bond, it's like you get the ring and then you got to go to Rome and then you got to find the clue to get to, like, feels like at least it's more linear as opposed to more just like circular convoluted. And I prefer that for Bond. I don't want it to be just like roundabout.
I've heard that too. And also I feel like, that again harkens back to the first movie of Mission, like notoriously confusing film. But once you get it, once you understand the story, like it's like brilliant. Like it's a very, very good movie. Brian De Palma like really brings it on that film.
He knows his paranoia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like in flip side of that is you get to Mission Impossible 2, and it's just like, here's a bad guy, here's the stakes, and that's it. There's gonna be two guys trying to like outdo each other.
Yeah, and like my problem with Mission 2, it falls with Gray Scott like as a shitty villain because like you're trying to buy into a love triangle.
Yeah, and also
and like
I was not.
No, this is Tom Cruise in 2000.
Yeah, it's like, why wasn't as good as even Hunt? I didn't impersonate him on missions. Just like what?
Right. I mean, there needed to be like Brad Pitt or like someone as big as Tom Cruise to make me believe that she might go for him. But like in the watching Mission 2, I'm like, no, this guy sucks. There's no way. I don't buy this for a freaking second. This guy should have. What a world we would have lived in had Brad Pitt done MI2 and Doug Ray Scott done Wolverine.
X-Men? Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah. Somewhere Hugh Jackman is just a very celebrated Tony Award winning actor.
And there's Doug Ray Scott.
And the X-Men franchise stopped at 2.
Yes.
No, it would have done 3. It would have done 3. X-Men is just popular.
X-Men was weird. What a weird series to go back to.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about convoluted falling, circling in on itself. That's the franchise.
I'm glad Tom Cruise then stuck with it. I don't know if it would have. I don't think it would have been a very different beast, but I'm glad it organically went where it was. And we keep going back. Like people just listen to the Chris McQuarrie interview. He says like
Adam told me to do this, and it was one of the best things I've heard.
Yeah, you can't force Mission Impossible to be anything. Like it will dictate where it needs to go. Yeah. And the perfect example is they tried to shoehorn Jeremy Renner, but the series wanted to see weird Tom Cruise stunts, and
and
it thrived.
And the best thing Tom Cruise did, aside from being utterly insane to do all these crazy stunts, is that he brought Chris McQuarrie with him.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna say Chris McQuarrie is one of the best directors in Hollywood right now. From his first film to now, he is not.
I love his philosophy on like filmmaking. He's very just gets it done. Not a lot of ego. Serves his story.
And it's smart, but he still says it's like very straightforward. Like again, like when did I show you he's a villain? When I showed you he was a villain. Like he's not trying to trick anybody. Like, you know, people hate on J. Jones for Mystery Box. I actually like the idea of Mystery Box when done well. I think it's means you're like not knowing everything. But it was also something to say like, hey, I'm not trying to hide anything from you, but I'm not going to tell you it all at the start. Like again, Mission Impossible 2.
Right. Yeah.
Like let things evolve. And again, like that's what if a Bond franchise can take some of that, you know, I mean, again, we don't need like in the last 2 films where you have like Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg and all those guys as supporting cast. Like we don't need. I love them. I love Q and Moneypenny. We don't need them to be involved in every mission like Inspector. But like, still, you know, get a villain with a really good driving plot. Get some crazy stunts. You know, a little bit of just spectacle.
At the as much as Mission Impossible revamps itself and kind of retools its own like formula, it still has to be an adaptation of a TV show. And
a TV show greenlit because of Bond Mania.
Right. And there has to be a mission. It has to be crazy. And they have to, you know, the structure is they have to show you how they're going to do the mission. You know, here's like, we got to get past this security guard, then we got to do this, then we got to do that. And then they do it. Yeah. That's my favorite part of it. I love the television heritage kind of parts. One thing that, you know, like I guess directors that were gonna do Mission, they're like they don't want to use the music, or they didn't want to do the every Mission Impossible episode of the show opens with the theme song, but it's like a trailer for the episode you're gonna watch.
Yeah,
you just get little tiny bits of what you're gonna see. I love that. It's like my favorite part. I look forward to that the most every time the mission comes out. Is like, how are they going to do it this time? And I remember being furious at Mission Impossible 3, almost to the point I wanted to leave the theater because they didn't do that. And I was like, who the fuck do you think you are, Mr. J.J. Abrams? Like,
you're not going to direct anything else in the world ever.
That's the one thing you have to do. And then I ate my words. Like, I'm like, watched Mission Impossible 3 again. I hadn't seen it in a few years. Watched it like maybe a year ago. The conversation that Tom Cruise and Seymour Hoffman are having, they do it verbally. They name a bunch of shit. You don't know what it is. You don't know how Cruise got there. He's got a wife. She's gonna get captured somehow. And I was like, that's pretty good.
I mean, I think I love Mission Impossible 3 because that opening scene is so strong and so well done. As like, you get the tone, you get the tension, you get like there's no like, okay, I love the lasers and Goldfinger and stuff. Like, it's just like, no, you're captured with a gun to your wife's head. It's bad. Like something's gone wrong, and I want to see how it unfolds. And I think, like again, like that sort of like, you know, I love Michael Nyqvist. Mission Impossible 4 is fun, but like, you need like that. Also, one thing I want for Bond franchise to keep is that their missions, right?
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt gets involved in some way. Like, yes, in Fallout, Solomon Lane has a big revenge scheme because but it's a sequel. You know, like even when he meets Solomon Lane in Rogue Nation, it's just, oh, hey, I'm in the same place as you and I need this information from you. That's it. Like, I'm not the architect of all your pain. I'm not, you know, it's none of that. Like, it just, hey, these two guys instantly hate each other and want to stop each other. It's like, you know, it's Connery and Dr. No across the table. It's, you know, Kamal Khan and Bond playing backgammon and it's being like, oh, you have a bat, I'm going to get you. And also, I'm going to kill you, Mr. Bond. It's just that. Keep that. Bring that back.
I think that's what's going to happen in the next one. Like, not a ton of returning cast, but I mean, we'll see what happens. But I do think it's going to be its own thing. That's not going to be too much Fallout and Rogue Nation.
Cool.
I'd heard a description of what they showed at last year's CinemaCon, and I'm like, Carrie Elways is the bad guy, and I'm like, that's cool.
Really? Because I thought it was Deathstroke from what's his name? The actor. I'm forgetting the.
Oh, Joe.
No, not Joe. It's Isai Morales.
Oh, right on.
Like I heard, like he was fighting Tom Cruise on a train or something. Like on a train.
I mean, yeah, I was sure there's like a few different bad guys. I don't know who's the main one, but I know Carrie was one of them. So fuck yeah,
sold. Also, we're bringing back Henry Czerny.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. Oh yeah, man. You want to meet the biggest Henry Czerny fan? This guy, me. Holy crap! I love that actor. I have followed him forever. I'll watch anything he does.
But he was Toyman on Supergirl. It was incredible. He made Toyman scary.
So glad that he's back. If any of you are looking for a movie to watch that a lot of people didn't see, Ready or Not.
Ready or Not is one of the best films ever, like in recent memory. Fun, inventive, amazing. It's got Henry Czerny, Samara Weaving, Adam Brody. You know,
Andy McDowell. It's just not a lot of people saw that.
It's a shame.
And I haven't seen the new Scream film, but if you saw the new Scream film and enjoyed it, those guys made this as well.
Yeah. So. And if you want a really good triple feature, I kid you not, I call it my Murder and Mansions trilogy. They all came out in the same year. They all feature murder, mansions, and class functions.
Okay.
Ready or Not, Knives Out, and Parasite.
Oh, that's a great. That is a good weekend right there.
That is a triple feature you're gonna love.
Too much, and it's not too much of one thing, you know.
No.
So they're all very different, but they're all very, very, very good.
Check it out.
Yeah, good triple feature.
I in the words of Robert Davi, License to Kill, I know things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot Fran Sanchez. Damn it, I forgot the character's name. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, this is all we sort of have to say right now. We're just waiting on Mission Impossible 7 and then 8, and
maybe we'll get a trailer with
crazy thing Tom Cruise does next.
Yeah. Hoping for a teaser with Top Gun, and we'll see what they're up to.
I'm hoping somehow they got Sean Harris, they tricked him going in set and made him say some lines.
Like, Chris, do like one scene where he dies.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, I heard you guys wanted me up on like a birthday party.
I'm down.
Tom, what? Oh, he's too good of an actor. You just do it instantly, and then you'd be like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But go watch Mission Impossible.
Do it. They're all streaming. They're all there. So check them out.
Rogue Nation's amazing. Best one, in my opinion.
First one.
I like the Hitchcock in the opera sequence in Rogue Nation, man.
It's a childhood thing too. I think I saw the first one in theaters like 10 times.
That's fair. Mighty Ducks fans, don't watch the opening scene.
Yeah.
But
well,
thank you for joining us for this bonus episode of Upper Fellas. We'll be back with more Bond talk very soon.
Totally.
I'm Nicholas.
I'm Adam. See you soon.
We'll see you guys soon.